my lovelies, today I'm going to be talking to you about the TBR books I've got for the rest of my summer term. By the time you're watching this, my contact hours or teaching hours for summer will be over, also meaning that my teaching hours for second year completely will be over. And that means that I'm going to have 6 weeks of no teaching, and the only 2 places I need to be is my exam and my presentation, but I do still have continuous deadlines to be working on. I've been holding fire on my own reading because I didn't want it to disrupt my university reading for the first 4 weeks of this term, but now that is all over and I have no more university required reading until I come back for my third year around about October. So the first book I want to read, which you'll probably have guessed if you've been following me for a while, is Empire of Storms by Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, and I did finish Queen of Shadows, the 4th book, in April, but then I worked a lot over the Easter holiday, so I didn't start this then. And then of course my 4 weeks of lectures and stuff, I didn't want to get distracted because I know this book is going to suck me in and I'm going to want to read it continuously because that's the way Maas reading works. So I promised myself that once my 4 weeks of required reading were over, that I can dedicate all my reading in bed and bath reading to this book. And by the time this video goes up, I've probably already started it. The next book that I think I definitely want to read in the next 6 weeks is To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is a book that I feel like is going to be a good summer read, although it is dark and raining right now. But I feel like I need something a bit more on the light-hearted side, a bit of romance, just for something summery. I did watch the Netflix adaptation and enjoyed that, so I know what's going to happen, but I also think it's going to be a good read, which is why I've also got the Netflix version of the book, which I actually think is a prettier cover. And I have heard rumours that Netflix are going to be doing book 2 into another adaptation, so I hope that they turn all 3 of the trilogy into these nice book covers, because I think they're really pretty, which is unusual, because I normally don't like the movie or adaptation versions of books. The next book I would like to read is one of my TBR classics for the year, because I haven't started any yet, and I feel like the first one that I want to read is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Of all the classics, this is the most modern, and it's also a story that I've been invested in on TV, so I feel like this is the first one I should get to. That and The Testaments, the second book, which is coming out at the end of the year, it's been advertised everywhere, so it's really whet my appetite to want to read this book soon. The next book on my list of ones I definitely want to try and read in the next 6 weeks is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I got it! I said it right. This is a narrative told in the form of poetry, and I feel like it'll make a good refreshing change. And also I think the poetry structure will make it quite quick, but I've heard very good things about this book. And I just feel like my courses have been lacking in poetry, or at least any poetry I've enjoyed at the moment, so I need to get my poetry fix somehow. And the end of summer term feels like a good escapist way to get into a bit of poetry. Now the next 2 books that I want to read, well, one of them's a book, one of them's actually a manga, are books that I'm thinking about doing for my dissertation. My dissertation proposal is due at the very end of this term, and the idea I'm hoping to go around is literature based on the atomic bombs. So I picked up 2 books from the library, one of them recommended by my supervisor, another one that I've just found and hoping it's going to be really useful, and I want to at least try and start both of these, at least enough to know whether I need to buy them my own copies, because these are both library copies. The book recommended by my supervisor is Burnt Shadows by Camilla Samshi. Now this tells the story of one woman's journey from Nagasaki during the atomic bombs, and her move then to Pakistan, and then having to face the backlash of 9/11. So it looks like it's going to be a traumatising read, and the first half seems very relevant to the idea I've got in mind at the moment for my dissertation. And the manga is Barefoot Gem by Kaiji Nakazawa, which I'm probably butchering and I'm very sorry for that. It is actually manga illustrated and written by Nakazawa, who survived Hiroshima when he was 10 years old. So I think it'd be very interesting and possibly quite relevant to my dissertation to have an actual survivor's point of view in literature. And I've never actually used the manga in my English course yet. Now, of course, for TBR lists, I don't want to be too strict about him. The only one I probably definitely, without a doubt, read is Empire of Storms, but there's also always going to be some versatility and some changing of moods to go with that, so I thought we'd just go over to my bookshelf and see the ones that I'd possibly had in mind, maybe instead of these if I'm not in the mood for any of them. We just move over to the bookshelf above my definitely not staged desk, although I do actually have to finish this translation, so it is useful to have it out. So let's have a look at the books we've got along here. This is my university reading and classic shelf, so I don't think there'll be many up here that I'll actually want to read. Red. I haven't put these 2 on my summer term TBR because I don't want to read anything overly complicated or anything too dense, during summer term because I will still have a deadline a week right up until maybe week 10. So I haven't put those two on there, but I do want to read them at some point this year. Red, 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 that's just a book of facts. Anna Green Gables, possibly more likely to be a summer holiday read. To Kill and Mockingbird, that's the one I'm most likely on this shelf to maybe pick up this term, as it is, and again, like The Handmaid's Tale, the more modern of the classics. So I might pick this one up. Let's just move the cactus. Now, The Scratch Man by Tom Baker is one I did seriously consider putting on this list, but then again, it's horror and I feel like you've got to be in the mood to be able to read that. Sarah J. Maas, Catwoman, unlikely because I want to finish Throne of Glass series first. I haven't bought Tower of Dawn or Kingdom of Ash with me because I want to do reading vlogs over them over summer. Factuals are probably not. Priory of the Orange Tree is one massive chunky standalone fantasy. The Priory of the Orange Tree was one of those books that I'd seen advertised and it played on my mind so much that I had to go and buy it, even though I know I'm not going to get to read it anytime soon because of how chunky it is. But I think I'll do a reading vlog on this when I do get to it. Maybe with both Connie Glynn books. The third book comes out in September, so I'll probably do a reread of the first book, and I haven't read the second book yet. So that's probably more likely to be around September that I read them. These two are both possiblies. One's a standalone fantasy, the other one's more of a detective story, but it depends what mood I'm in. The Doctor Who book I've just finished this week. My Name is Victoria and A Pinch of Magic are both more on the children's end of the spectrum, so I might pick them up, just have something easy to read like I did with Doctor Who, but I'm not sure. A Curse So Dark and Lonely, if I'm really missing Sarah J. Maas books when I finish this, I might move into this one because it's meant to be around the same area of high fantasy. Cyber is a book I'm really interested in, but I'm not too sure whether I'll actually get to read it this term. Heartless by Marissa Meyer, now that is a book that I seriously considered putting on my definitely list as well, because it is a standalone fantasy and I've been seeing a friend reading it and they said it's really good and they've binge read it. The Silent Companion, maybe not. The His Dark Materials trilogy is more likely to be something I pick up at summer, as well as The Darkest Minds, because that's a 4-part series and I've only got book 1, so I don't want to start reading it and get hooked and not be able to access next books. Salem's Lot, again, horror, sort of have to be in the mood. Stephen King's On Writing, now that's one I might start as one of the continuous books I have going on in the background, maybe do a bit at a time because it is a memoir and how Stephen King writes, so I might have that on the go as like a background type of book. The Haunting on Hill House is another maybe because it's a quick looking book, but again it is horror. Romance is Dead and Disenchanted by C.L. Raven, they are both short story collections, so quite possibly if I'm in the horror mood and I don't actually want to read big chunky Stephen King books. So that is my summer term reading list that I've put for myself, so hopefully I'll get round to reading most of these. Thank you for watching, like, comment and subscribe.